We are today at the Forbes Money Summit, and I'm so happy to have Medina Kettner here to talk with you. Hi, Medina. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Medina Kettner. I'm a social entrepreneur. I run social projects primarily in Ukraine, but with the goal to spread them across the world as products to help the society in education.
Thank you that you are here. So you are attending today the Forbes Money Summit. Tell me why and what are your expectations out of this day?
I'm currently fundraising for my current project, which is a school for hospitality professions in Ukraine, where primarily internal refugees can study for free to get better jobs. And Forbes has been supporting me over already 2 years on this journey with my previous social project as well to fundraise and get needed connections. And at the end, I see this as my role in the world to bring the excellence from Europe to the countries where there is a need of help, and in this case it's Ukraine.
I understand. So I found out that you are one of the 30 on the 30s. How much does, let's put it as a title, how much is that of value to you? Or did that make or break your journey? Or not break, of course not break, but help you in your journey, sorry.
It definitely opened some doors, especially if you are a woman who looks, I think, quite young. And sometimes people don't immediately take you seriously, especially in the field where I used to work. I used to produce bulletproof vests for civilians in Ukraine. That was my first social project. And when you, work or talk to some NATO general, they would first not take you seriously unless you show them that someone acclaimed your work before. Yeah, exactly.
But let's talk about it. I mean, you are still young, and how come you started to get into those projects or even start those projects? How come?
I, from very early age, felt like I'm willing to make a positive impact to the world around me. And at that time, it was mostly the society I lived in. I come from Kazakhstan. That's why I started studying law. But then I quickly realized that it's actually not governments or lawyers that change the world. It's entrepreneurs. Businesses are there to solve complicated issues. They are there to make research, to come up with a solution, test it, and improve certain things. And that's how I decided to become an entrepreneur. And first I was working as a venture developer, building mostly tech ventures across Middle East and Europe. And then when the war in Ukraine started, I just felt morally obliged to help. And I quit my job to start my first charity, Bulletproof Vest production for civilians in Ukraine. And I was doing it for more than a year. And now I'm building a school for hospitality professions in Ukraine for internal refugees.
Tell me more about that. So, I mean, we know what still is going on in the Ukraine. So how did you come up to start that one and why?
First of all, I follow the movement of long-termism. It's a moral concept that states that we need to find a way to use our time and skills for the greater benefit of the future generations, because they will inherit the world in a way worse condition than it was when we were born. This was a way for me to just find the best use of my skills. I knew that there is a huge demand for skilled workforce. And at the end, as well, there are also a lot of internal refugees who look for jobs because they lost their homes, but they still stayed in Ukraine and they need to build their life from scratch.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about it. How do you fund it? How do you finance this whole project?
So we're supporting ourselves with donations primarily, although the school project will have like a system of self-financing. But although it might sound very difficult, it is not easy. But my main insight from working in social impact was that when you start working on a cause that significantly improves the life of others, it actually benefits the whole ecosystem of what you're doing. First of all, it inspires your team. You generally get a lot of interest from talents to work with you, even sometimes from talents that are having normal jobs and work in great companies.
You're talking about teams, so like teams from companies. So it's companies who are working with you?
Exactly.
Okay.
My personal team, and we also have a team of advisors who work in big companies like Google or Airbnb or Trade Republic, and they are supporting us in their free time because they just really love the cause.
Yeah, that's great.
And I just noticed that sometimes this is like their hobby almost. They feel so alive because they feel like what they're doing is really making some kind of difference. It makes an impact. And
so on both sides in
yeah,
this,
exactly.
Yeah.
And when your team is so driven by itself, you'd never have to motivate them because they can go forever in this. And sometimes I have to put like some artificial limits, like, guys, we cannot move so fast, or like we cannot go so far. It has to go step by step. Then you, of course, get interest of the media because you're doing something not for the sake of money. You're doing this to help people. And so far we didn't spend like a single euro on promotion or something, because I think like it resonates with others. And when you have all of this like media coverages, it also invites the interest of potential stakeholders or even potential donors, investors. So from every single point, you receive so much support, and I'm so thankful for this because it is not an easy journey. It is not easy to find a cause that is really meaningful to work on long term, and you also can find some way that you also don't starve to death by doing it.
Yeah, I understand.
You know,
but you told me before that for the other for the bulletproof vest that you quit your job. So let's go back. That you risked there a lot, or am I wrong?
Let's put it that way. I was in Berlin. I live in Berlin. Mm-hmm. No matter what happens, I'm gonna be safe. Okay. I'm like in a country that has a social security, etc. The people in Ukraine,
that they don't have
like this... they're literally risking their life.
Yeah.
Literally.
So
like my risking life is not that much risk of the life.
I just wanted to make this little side note because you said, okay, there are possibilities to earn some money while still doing something that is meaningful and has an impact.
Let's put it that way. I feel, okay, I come from Kazakhstan, but now when I live in Berlin for 5 years, I live a very privileged life. I have all the opportunities I can imagine, and back then I had a great job. I know that I will be fine. Even when I work on a social project, I know that just because I am in this very wealthy environment, I will be fine. There are people who are not having those opportunities. They are not in such environment. They have to fight for things that I take for granted, you know? And that's why I have to give back. I cannot just take and think, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to have my matcha latte, you know? It came to me like a gift, and I have to give it back
naturally somehow.
Yeah, and I have to give something back, you know, to those who were not lucky enough. I feel very often life is just luck, and I was just lucky. And I want to share my luck.
This is really, really nice to hear that you have like this core values that you want to spread into the world. Still, I have to ask you, do you struggle sometimes or asking yourself, am I on the right path?
it's a struggle all the time. Like uncertainty and instability is my lifestyle.
Okay, I understand. I understand.
Like it is being comfortable in discomfort, or like learning
to be comfortable in discomfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
I see. And I can see that you're doing this really well. So we are already on the end of our talk. Thank you so much for being here. It was very interesting.
Thank you so much for having me.